Hey guys, this is Cameron. We're going to do a really quick and easy Stryfe mod video today. Very basic. All we're going to do is take out a couple locks, which will allow you to use any dart, any mag, and just make it overall more functional. Perfect. Beep bop boop, Cambo, Stryfe, modding over here, mod. Alright guys, so for the Stryfe mod, we're going to need a couple basic materials. Electrical tape or duct tape. I would prefer electrical tape for this, just makes life a little bit easier. And a number 0 screwdriver. You can buy these at hardware stores for like $3 or $4. There's a couple different options. This one ratchets. I prefer the longer ones because they're a little bit easier about getting into the deep wells of some of these screw ports. So first thing we're going to do is just take it apart. Alright, so now that we've got the Stryfe opened up, the only thing to take note is there's two smaller size screws, and those are up here in these two ports. These last ones right there. So we're going to open them up. Alright, this is going to be a very basic mod. All we're really doing is bypassing some of these locks. We're not going to be playing around with the voltage. We're not going to be playing around with the circuit. This is a very good intro mod if this is your first electric blaster you've ever done. So what these locks do is there's a few of them. One of the locks makes it so you can really only use elite darts. One of them makes it so you can only really use the brand new production mags. You can't very well use the older mags. And one of it makes it so that you can't continually to spool the motors when the magazine is out. And if you're trying to do really fast mag changes and you're trying to keep the RPMs up on your flywheels, you might want to have that taken out as well. Some Stryfes you might want to note, like this one, don't actually have the dart lock. And if it would have that, it would be right in here, and it would be a little orange L-shaped piece with a little spring on it. That can be thrown away completely. That's the lock that makes it not really cooperate very well with non-elite darts. So again, if you see a little piece right here, you can totally remove that, throw it away. This one doesn't have it. I was kind of surprised about that, but there are some variations to the different blasters. So the next one we're going to do is probably the most important one to do, and we're going to get to that by taking out these main screws and the trigger mechanism first, and the lock is in here. This lock makes it so that this weapon is not very compatible with non-elite new production magazines. So if you're trying to use your older 18s or your older 35 round drums, they just don't cooperate very well. There is a slight difference in the sizing. Most blasters, it doesn't matter, but for whatever reason, the Stryfe is very picky about using brand new production magazines. So you can see this just comes apart very easily. We're going to leave all the pieces intact, and we need to take the trigger out to get at the lock. Now this is where we're going to take this part out, and remember this orientation because this can be a little bit of a booger to get back in. And we're just going to take these screws out. And here's the lock right in here. So we're going to take this out and just discard all of this. But what that leaves us behind is you can see there's a little switch right here. So when that lock is depressed, when you have a brand new production magazine, is that'll push that little lever forward, which also pushes this forward to allow the circuit to continue. So what we have to do is we're going to lift this out, and we're going to tape this down so it's permanently closed. I'm just going to use a little bit of electrical tape. You can use duct tape. I just prefer to use electrical tape. I think it's a little bit stickier. It's a little bit stronger. And it just works a little bit better in my opinion. So you want to completely push that lock down, that little nub, with the electrical tape, and then just wrap it very tightly. I wouldn't go around more than just a few times, because it's going to be very much of a pain in the butt to get back in the well. Cut off the excess at the top, because again, it's going to just be a pain to fit it back in the well. And be careful with this wiring, it's very thin and delicate, so just be sure you're not being too rough with it. And we're going to shove this back in the hole. We're going to line this back up. And we're just going to shove this unit back in the hole. This might be a little bit difficult with all the extra E-tape that's on there. These are very tight tolerances, so just play around with it. Take your time. Don't be too rough with it. This wiring is it's pretty delicate.
Tampon video because I can get that done in like an hour.
I'm just gonna retake this whole thing. I'm just gonna rerun this entire thing. Not the entire thing, but this entire quick section. It's just not cooperating. It's been an absolute bastard.
But you've already got the explanation of it good though, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So what I'm doing for this, I'm just using a very thin cut up strip of electrical tape. And we're just going to depress that little switch right in there with the electrical tape. Pull that down. And just run your tape over so that way the switch stays depressed. That'll complete the circuit and allow this blaster to run. You can definitely cut this out and just solder it together, but not everyone has access to a soldering gun, so this is just an easier way of doing it. And it might be a little bit difficult to get this little switch back in the well now that we have the extra volume of our tape, but just be careful, play around with it, and take it easy on this wiring because it is a little delicate. Alright, we're going to put that cover back in. And I've done about a bazillion of these, but when you really get used to them, you can do these in about 5 minutes. They take very little time, and they increase the functionality very much. I've actually done these between missions a few times during HVZ.
And if you could say, just talk about if you want a more complete Uber or whatever, then go ahead and check out Drax for Drax review, and I'll link to that.
Okay. And if you're wanting a little bit more out of your blaster than just this, you can check out Drax's video, and he has a much more in-depth review and run-through of what all the crazy mods that he's done to his. This is just extremely basic.
Chuck is just so sick of the dual flywheel guns. It's like they just have beat this horse to death.
But it's a really nice, fun horse. Alright, I put that together totally wrong.
Well, they're going to call you on it.
Huh?
They're going to call you on it.
Well, no, I put the wrong screw in the wrong port. So just, we'll do a fresh cut. I'll just run it again. So now we're just going to put this trigger back together. And if you're wanting a little bit more of a complete video, check out Drax mod. He's done all kinds of crazy extra things. This is just a very basic functionality mod. Nothing too crazy. Very easy for a beginner to do. If you have a soldering gun, if you want to buy the extra motors, you can do a ton with these little flywheel blasters. But this is just a really basic, easy tutorial, easy intro.
Is there a ratchet one?
Mm-hmm. And again, this is a really easy, fast mod. It's a very intuitive weapon to play around with, so it's not too terribly hard. I had a couple people ask me to do these before, and I told them I believe in your ability to figure it out yourself, and lo and behold, they were. So this is just a very good introduction to how to do a electric Nerf blaster. These two screws are, I think, number 1s, so I'm going to use that size. You can use number 0 on it. It's just you might tear up the teeth on it a little bit more. So just if you have the extra screwdriver, it's going to make your life a little bit easier. Alright, this last lock we're going to take out is right in here. This is the one that prevents you from spooling up the motors when there's not a magazine inside. So this one's totally optional to take out as far as your functionality mods. The one up here and the one in here are the most important ones. But if you want to be able to keep that motor running fast while you're changing mags, you can take this one out as well. I'm going to remove the trigger, and it's this entire unit in here we're going to take out. We don't need to tape this down, because the rev trigger articulates perfectly with that little switch. So anytime you'll depress that, that'll activate that switch. Make sure to put your cover back on. And we'll put this thing back together.
When you get to that point, I might have to move it more to the left and then zoom in on the correct final product.
Now, what you can also do if you want to take out this jammed door, just like we did with the lock over here, there's a little switch over here. You can tape this one up the same way we did with the switch over here. It's not necessary, but it's an option if you want to remove your jammed door.
Okay, I can rotate it more so I can see that in that jam door area more. Or clockwise all the way.
And finally, something to be said for this little L bracket that wasn't in this one, but it's in most earlier Stryfes, is it's not actually a physical or electrical lock, it's more of a guide, but it doesn't really articulate very well with the older darts or with in-strike regular darts or with Koosh darts or with any of the other off-brand darts. If you take that out, it just feeds everything a little bit better. An important thing to remember is when you're reassembling your blasters, if it doesn't want to come apart very well or it doesn't want to go back together very well, you've probably not got something lined up well. Don't force it because you'll break something. Hey guys, this is the final Stryfe. As you can see, I'm depressing the trigger and it spools up. And I'm going to run a couple magazines of different kinds of darts just to show you how reliable it is. I'm going to start out with, this is just a regular Elites. These are Koosh darts. Here's a mixed magazine of really rough shaped China darts. And finally, here's a drum full of Elites loaded backwards. So as you can see, we went from a really picky eater with the Stryfe to now it's working and feeding pretty much anything. Thanks for watching, guys.